Welcome back, everyone. Earlier this hour, we shared some tips on making the perfect bird, and now we're doing delicious side dishes with the boys from HEB Plus. We have James and Jesse in the house this morning, and I'm putting Mary to work in the kitchen too on the bird. You gave us some tips earlier about how to make the perfect turkey. Fill our viewers in really quickly. What is Mary injecting here into this turkey?
We made our own marinade with a little butter, some white wine, a little chicken broth, and some of our HEB basting oil. And you want to inject that into the thickest parts of the turkey, throughout the breast, legs, thighs, and wings. And you want to be sure to,
it's not working here.
You want to be sure to push it very slowly. Give the tissues a chance to absorb everything. If you do get, if the needle does get stopped up, you don't want to force it. You want to take it out of the turkey, hold it over a dish, and then try to force the clog out.
I think I just forced that out.
That's because there is a little bit of fat in there, right?
You know what? You live and you learn,
There's
Jesse.
a little fat, and there's some herbs in there. It can clog up the needle, and if you push too hard, it can actually burst out somewhere else. So you want to be very careful with that.
Let's talk about the sides really quickly before we get to carving turkey.
We have a homemade stuffing here, very nice recipe, something brand new we were trying. It has a little red wine, some cranberry sausage, some toasted pecans. Very easy recipe to prepare. And then of course we have the fresh green beans with a little of our bacon jam.
And you know what I love about these recipes is that they are very healthy. They're going to be on valleycentral.com later. Even though you do have a little bit of the fat mixed in, it's still fairly good for you.
It's Thanksgiving. You kind of expect it to be a little luxurious, but we made some healthier choices. We went with the fresh green beans over canned or frozen. We went with a low sugar, low sodium cranberry sauce over the canned cranberries. So there are definitely some healthier alternatives you can choose over the less healthy.
And let's talk about carving. Mary and I are going to step away from the knife.
Yeah, because we've had some bad experiences.
Yeah, so what's the proper way to carve your turkey? And you said you need to let it rest, right?
It's a good idea after it's cooked to let it rest, let the tissues reabsorb all the juices. If you cut into it right after it comes out of the oven, all the juice will start bleeding out and you'll have a really dry bird.
Great.
There are two ways you can do it. You can remove the legs and breasts from the carcass and then just slice it. Or a lot of folks like to have the whole turkey. They like the look of it, to have the whole turkey in the classic, carving the whole turkey.
I love that you're calling it a carcass, because it just makes me want to eat it all over.
Sounds delicious. Have the dad carve it up at the table, right?
Once you've taken all the meat off, that's all it is
Yeah, no, I know, but it sounds way more delicious that way. I agree.
But if you want to carve it on the bird, you're going to need a nice barbecue fork, and then you want to just use this as a guide for your knife. You're just going to insert this into the tissue, and then just let the knife sort of just run right across the back end of the fork and let that guide you down. And you just want to make a nice, even
How thick should the slice be?
It's up to you. It's based on preference. If you like thicker slices or thinner slices, there's not a wrong way about it.
How big of a role does a good knife play in this?
Actually, smaller knives are probably better, especially if you're not very experienced with carving. The more important thing is to have a nice sharp knife.
Great. All right.
Dull knives are actually more dangerous than sharp knives, believe it or not.
Well, thanks so much, James, for being with us this morning. HEB Plus is located at 2355 Paredes Line Road. I'm there all the time in Brownsville. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
A little side note.